What's up, everybody? I'm blessed and free. Welcome back to another episode of DOC TV. So I've been getting a lot of new subscribers, and I want everybody watching and everybody that has subscribed to the channel to kind of get to know me and what I've been through in my life and what led me to prison. The first time I got arrested, I was 12 years old. And the reason why I want to tell this story is because in the state of Florida, for anywhere for that matter, it's really easy to get a charge, but one charge kind of describes every situation that can get you that charge. So when I was 12 years old, I'm in middle school. I was actually in the 6th grade, and the middle school I went to was connected to a high school. So it was like all one big school. I had a homeboy that was in my class with me. We became tight like during our 6th grade year, and we were trying to get some weed from one of the high schoolers, so when we got out of school, we could get high. And this was the first time I ever smoked weed. So it's kind of crazy because, the first time I smoke weed, I go cop, 2 felonies. But hey, story of my life, right? So we went over to the high school. We're trying to get some weed. Boom. At the end of the day in school, we finally get the weed. My homeboy was going to get on my bus and was going to come over to my house and get off at my bus stop so then we could smoke the weed and shit. When we get off the bus, we were going to go to this empty lot in my neighborhood, like where a house hadn't been built yet. And it was like a wooded area. It had some bike trails through it. So we stop at my house. We get some bikes. We ride over to the wooded lot. On our way there, on the side of the road, there was this pack of cigarettes. So I was like, damn, all right, come up, grab the cigarettes. So I was going to, smoke the weed. We're going to smoke some cigarettes afterwards. When we get to the wooded lot, we had a Pepsi can with us, and we had bent it and put some holes in it. So we had something to smoke the weed because we didn't have a pipe. I don't even think we knew how to roll a joint at that time. So we start smoking the weed. I'm getting high. He's getting blazed. So when we get done smoking the weed, I pull out the cigarette. I light the cigarette. I go to smoke it. Took a couple hits, and I'm like, ugh. Threw that shit on the ground, stepped on it. And after that had happened, he had pulled a handkerchief out of his pocket. So I was like, what's that for? So he's like, you want to rob a house? And I'm like, yeah, all right. Which house? So there was this kid in our neighborhood that we had both known. We didn't really chill with him. He was a couple years younger than us, and his dad used to be a Buccaneers player. So I automatically in my head was like, well, damn, they must have money. We knew the kid wasn't home because every time he was home, he would be riding around the neighborhood on his 4-wheeler and just doing shit. So I was like, all right, what about his house? I'm not going to say his name, but so we end up walking to his house, and we didn't know if anyone was home. So we go up and we ring the doorbell. Nobody answers the door. So we go around the side of the house to where the garage was, and not the garage door, but there was a side door that went into the garage. So we walk up to it, we check the knob, and it's open. So we're like, damn, that was easy. So we walk in through the house, we go into a hallway, and the first bedroom on the right in the hallway was empty, and all on the floor was guns, bows. I guess this dude's dad collected guns or was a hunter or some shit. So we had went in the room, we're looking through all the shit, and we had took a clip that was laying on the ground with ammunition in it. I don't know why we took it, but we were just young and dumb, man, honestly. So we get the clip, we make our way through the house, we end up in the master bedroom. We're going through all the shit. We ended up getting over $10,000 in jewelry. So we get the jewelry, and we're worried about them coming home when we're in the house. So we get the shit and we book out of there. We go to another one of our friends' house in the neighborhood, and I'm high as fuck. So I don't even remember that I have football practice. So when we get to our friend's house, they were telling them what happened. We're young. We're kind of bragging about what we did. First advice, don't tell anybody what you did if you're going to commit a crime, because I'm sure that had a big factor on how we ended up getting caught and how they got statements and everything in the end. So as we're there talking, I see my grandma, because I'm living with my grandparents at this time. My dad had already died. My mom was out, partying and doing her own thing. So I was staying with my grandparents. So she pulls up and she's like, where have you been? And I'm like, I'm right here. She's like, you have football practice. You need to get home. So she's like, I'm going home, ride your bike home. So I start riding my bike home, and I'm riding my bike home, and I get to the street where the house is that we robbed. And the wooded lot was 2 lots down from the house that we robbed. So there's all these ambulances and fire trucks, and I'm thinking in my head, damn, we got caught quick. They're already there. So as I get closer, I look down the street and I see all this smoke, and the wooded lot that we were smoking on, I guess when we had threw the cigarette down and went to put it out, it didn't go out and the whole lot caught fire. So I'm like, damn, well, and then I'm looking and they're not really in front of the house that we robbed. They're more in front of the lot. So I know that we haven't been caught yet for the house. So I go to football practice, I go to school the next day and we're all talking about it and shit. And I'm telling them like, bro, like this shit is not looking good. And, we're just talking too much, man. Honestly, that's what got us caught is we just talk too much. So we're in our 5th period class and I think it was my science class. So across the hall, when I'm in the class, I see through the window, there's these like 2 detectives going into the class he was in across the hall. So I'm like, oh, hell no. So then I see them come out with him. And I was like, hey, I grab my backpack, get my shit. And I told the teacher, I got to go to the bathroom. So I go like I'm going to the bathroom. And at this time, I live like 10 miles. So I ended up just walking all the way home. I don't know how long it took me. I think it was like a 4-hour walk. So I get home and like I'm freaking out at this time. Like I'm not even gonna lie. I was scared. I didn't know what the hell was going on. So as I'm at home, all these thoughts running through my head, there was a knock at the door and I kind of peeped out just so I could see a little bit and it was cops. So they were already at my house trying to get me. So I call my grandfather on the phone. I'm telling him what happened. He's like, go in your room, go under the bed and don't answer the door. So as I'm under the bed, I'm on the phone with him. I hear them walking by the window to my bedroom and he's like, don't say anything, just lay there until I get home. They ended up leaving. My grandfather comes home from work. I'm telling him what happened about when this is all going on. My grandma ends up coming home from work and he's like, you need to tell your grandma. So as I'm telling my grandma, boom, I robbed a house, I took this. She like fell on the ground and started having like heart spasms or something. So my grandpa had to pick her up, put her in the car and go down to the fire station, I think to get like an EKG or something. I don't know, man. It was just a fucked up situation. So my grandfather ends up getting me a lawyer through somebody that he knew. I forget how much money they dropped on the lawyer. I think it was like 15 racks or something. And that was him getting a deal on the lawyer. But I don't know for sure how much it was, but it was a lot. So we're talking with the lawyer. He's communicating with the state. They don't have my fingerprints. They don't have any evidence on me. The only thing they have is somebody saying that, they knew that I did it. So through my lawyer, he set up a meeting with the detectives, I guess, they wanted to question me and shit. And he wanted to be there. So we met the detectives at the jail. Now, I knew like 2 days before we were going to meet these detectives. So I was like freaking out. So I ended up getting a razor and I started cutting my fingertips thinking that it would hide, my fingerprints. Now, when I was in the house, like I didn't have gloves, but I would put my hands in my shirt like this to open drawers and shit like that so they wouldn't get my fingerprints. So, I was just young. I thought, well, shit, I'll just change my fingerprints real quick. But, that shit don't work for anybody out there that thinks that works. It doesn't. So as we're at the jail and they're questioning me, like I'm not admitting to shit. I'm not, saying anything really. I'm just saying, I don't know. And I don't know. And I don't know. Kept saying that over and over again. And what I think they were trying to do was get me to admit it, thinking that, I would admit it. They would arrest me and take me to jail, but I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to admit, what had happened. So we end up leaving that day. I end up going to court and my lawyer got a deal for felony probation until I was 18. And the big reason why I'm telling you this story is because in the end of all that, I end up getting charged with armed burglary and grand larceny because at that time we had stole over $10,000 worth of stuff. Now, when I look somebody up and their charge says armed burglary, I am not automatically, or you even may automatically think they walked into somebody's house with a gun, told the owner to lay down and run their pockets, took their shit and left. But this is a big reason why I created this channel, because I had an armed burglary, because in the state of Florida, if you break into a house and you steal ammunition or a gun for that matter, you're automatically arming yourself in the process of a burglary. So that's how I ended up getting the armed burglary, which is a PBL in the state of Florida. So, but with them knowing the case of like exactly what happened, you know, somehow I got blessed. Honestly, I'd never been in trouble before, and I got felony probation until I was 18. And if by the time I turned 18, if I completed this program back then they called JASP, where you go to like anger management, you have to do community service and all that shit. When I turned 18, it wouldn't be on my record. But unfortunately for me, that didn't happen. I ended up violating my probation with a couple new charges. And I'm going to get into what happened with that in some other episodes. So I just wanted to take the time out to apologize to that kid and his parents if they're watching this. You know, I was stupid. And, you know, now me being where I am now in my life, you know, owning a home, if somebody broke into my home and stole some shit, I'd feel some type of way about it. So, you know, I apologize for that. My bad. And so, you know, for somebody watching this right now, you know, it's so easy for you to catch a case when you're young like that and think that it's no big deal and you're just going to go on probation and get done and you're done with it. But it doesn't work like that, because I violated and that shit's now on my record. So it affects me when I try to get jobs, when you know, if you have to go rent an apartment, that'll affect you. Going to get a home, it's all going to affect you. It's not over when you complete your time. That shit stays with you for life. Any felony you get should just be like a life sentence on your record, basically, because it's going to follow you. And for me telling this story, I'm not trying to glorify what I did. Like, it was stupid, honestly. And, you know, looking back on it now, it's just like, damn, like, what the fuck was I thinking doing the shit that I did? And it only kept getting worse, because once you get arrested once, every time you get arrested after that, it's 10 times worse, because now you're getting a new charge on a charge you already have. You're just building your record up for, at the end of the day, for the state to like really give you some time and sit your ass down. But I'm telling this story because I want people to hear it and know that like you can go do something so small and it can turn into something so big and fuck you through the rest of your life. But hey, I just want to thank everyone who has subscribed to the channel. I really appreciate all the support, and for people that have been rocking with me since day one, and for all the new subscribers. If you haven't, man, give this video a thumbs up and turn those post notifications on all, so every time I drop an episode, you can hear it first. And with that, it's DOC TV, and I'm out.